I'm really excited to introduce you to the two main characters of the Predictably Unpredictable Tales from the Land of Ardithian. This is Arlen and this is Minterton. They are two young kids that come together out of some traumatic circumstances. The story begins with Minterton being a young boy. His mother dies when he's around 8 or 9, but she sends him to a boarding school at the age of 6 years old, and he never understood why. He never got to ask her that. He also never knew the identity of his father because she took it to her grave. And what ends up happening is he's kind of a handful in school, and he gets handed to one foster home and to the next foster home. And there's an old custodian that works in the school that kind of takes a heart from Minterton. And because he spends a lot of time with the boy in the afternoon, because part of his punishment is he has to scrub floors at this school. So Old Man Loring is this gentleman's name, and he befriends this young boy, and they have, you know, a sweet relationship, but not a real involved one until the school decides that they're going to send Minterton to the state orphanage, which is a really horrible place. And Old Man Loring gets wind of it, and he decides at that point that he is going to take Minterton in and take care of him, and they make a deal with the state, and he does that. But he lives on an island with a lighthouse, and part of that agreement is that Minterton will not be in traditional school anymore. He's going to live on the island with the old man. They got to take care of the lighthouse, and that relationship evolves until he's 13 years old. When he turns 13, events start happening, and they had never left the island. If they needed supplies, you know, the townsfolk would bring them to them, and they've been on that island together for several years, forming this relationship. And Old Man Loring gets a message from a man named Mr. Batcher. He's a shrimping boat captain. And the message basically means that Old Man Loring has to leave the island to take care of some business. He leaves Minterton in charge to be courageous and leave the light on and make sure the light stays on, and that he would return the next day. And that didn't happen. He didn't come back the next day. But what did happen the next day is some really bad people showed up on that island. And those really bad people had actually kidnapped Arlen, this little girl. And she's 6 in this story, so she's younger than he is. And then the tale ensues about who these people are and who she is, because she has rainbow-colored eyes, and she's a little bit different than the typical 6-year-old. She's very imaginative and observational, and she pays attention to detail. She loves to tell stories. And as the story goes on, it becomes very apparent that they are in grave danger with these people, and they're not quite sure how they're going to get out of it or what's going to happen. In the meantime, they get to spend a lot of time up in this little boy's bedroom where there's books and books, because Old Man Loring loved books and he loved a record player. And one of those books had some loose pages in it. And the loose pages were pictures. And some of them had one phrase and some of them had no words. But they were pictures of this really imaginative, otherworldly place. And Arlen loved to make up stories about these pictures. It's kind of how they spent their time, so they didn't lose their mind being locked in this bedroom. And together, he loved reading books because the shrimp and boat guys would bring him books such as Robinson Crusoe and Treasure Island and things like that. So he loved reading, she loved making up stories, and they formed this sweet little friendship of protection, of companionship. And then as the story evolves further, kind of the climactic beginning or prologue of the land of Ardithian, it comes to be that certain entities end up having to show up to rescue these two. There's clues that end up coming up that there's more to this world than they realize, and they get kind of whisked away in some sense to the land of Ardithian and end up arriving on the shores of Dauphinlandia to attend a wedding of Princess Fairy Fireblossom and Sir Flatula Lancelot. Now, I'm leaving a whole lot out, but I can't tell the whole story, right now. All I can tell you is these two characters are so endearing to me because she's kind of emulated a little bit after me and kind of my quirkiness, and he is emulated after my sweet husband. He loves the woods, he loves stories, he loves adventure, but he also he learned to work hard because Old Man Loring taught him, kind of a harder way of life. But there's a sadness in both of them because she has no memory of who she is or where she comes from because she had a head injury. And he has no idea, who his dad is or who his family is. He just knows all he had was Old Man Loring. And Old Man Loring's gone. So the adventure begins, and they head into the land of Ardithian on this wild and crazy adventure having to do with book and these spheres and energy and crazy character and a lot of nonsensical potential in how the story evolves. I can't wait for it to come out. Next October is the big reveal. Kickstarter happens January, but until then, this show is heading to North Gallery in Oklahoma City, and I am writing and painting like a crazy mad woman because I'm excited about it. It's kind of like that, desire of your heart that you carry around with you in your life, and you always put it off or you put something in front of it. I made the decision this past December to put it as a priority, and that's what I've committed to. So come hell or high water, this book project is getting launched and getting published, and it's going to be such a fun, tremendous story, at least in my world. And I'm so grateful that y'all have pulled up a chair and are going to go on the ride with me, because it's going to be a weird one, but it's going to be a fantastically, deliciously odd one. The predictably unpredictable tales from the land of Ardithian. So stay tuned.